Fort Gordon soldier gets a life sentence. Breaking news. The year 1980, we go back to a case of a Fort Gordon soldier who shot and killed his girlfriend's first sergeant. The prosecution was seeking the death penalty for shooting of First Sergeant Frazier. Frazier was shot 3 times. Sergeant Scott and Specialist Beatrice Godwin lived together off base until Frazier, the young woman's supervisor, ordered her to move back to her barracks. According to testimony, Frazier ordered the woman to move back on the base because of a large number of debts the couple had incurred. Meanwhile, Army officials are looking for Miss Godwin, who is absent without leave. Catherine Frazier, the victim's wife, testified during the 2-day court-martial that Scott came to her home and asked to speak to her husband. She also said a young man had called the night before the shooting to ask if he had found the Frazier home. Mrs. Frazier testified that her husband stepped outside to talk to the visitor. The first sergeant was shot through the heart and also struck in the forearm and in the mouth. Scott was arrested by Richmond County authorities. The Army took jurisdiction because all involved were military personnel. The prosecution said Ms. Godwin told investigators Scott had threatened to get Frazier for ordering her to move back on base. Ms. Godwin said that was not true. She never said that. She disappeared November 4th, 1980, and is listed AWOL by the Army. Specialist Godwin went AWOL and never testified. Years later, she has a very different story to tell about what really happened. Here is Beatrice Godwin telling her story for the first time ever.
I started off working as air traffic control, and I worked at an airfield, small airfield that was 30 miles from Houston. My name is Beatrice Godwin Marshall, and this is my story. My childhood was structured. We grew up in church, and there were things that we literally had. Church was every Sunday. Sometimes there were 3 services. Sometimes there were 2. There were Bible study, choir rehearsals, and we always had to be there, no matter what. We were going to church. It's like I tell people all the time, I can remember back when my sister and I got older, how we would go out. Doesn't make a difference how you were when you came in the house. You were going to church. Didn't matter. Sometimes we had hangovers, but we went to church. And the reason why I decided to go into the military was because after I graduated high school, there were jobs out there, but it was always like factory work, piecework, something that did not provide stable employment for me to take care of my 2 kids. So I decided, because the military offered schooling, it offered a guaranteed paycheck every month, and that was something that I needed.
And what did your parents think about your decision to join the Army? Were they excited, or did they want you to do something where you may have been closer to home because you did have children?
My mom and dad both supported me going into the military because they always knew that the way that we were raised, they had trust in me that I was going to act accordingly.
So tell us about being away from home for the very first time. Like, what was it like kind of starting your career? How was AIT on all of that?
Being away from home for the first time was really a shock to me, because once you leave home and you leave the comfort of your home, your environment, your people that you used to be with every day, you miss that love, you miss that camaraderie, you know. Once I got to basic training, everything went okay. I went to AIT. Everything went okay. Basically, everything was okay until my last year in the service. Yes, originally I was comfortable working with him. He was a very, very outgoing person. It just seemed like everybody loved him. Everybody got along with him. So, yeah, everything was fine from the beginning. Originally, now that I look back at it, there was some subtle things that you see but you don't want to see. So a lot of things that happened, I sort of kind of brushed it off, or maybe he didn't mean that, or you know. But then I started getting summons to the orderly room, and I would always have to close the door behind myself once I got in the orderly room. But I started to think, where do I go from here? You know, how do I nip it in the bud? Does he mean what I think he means? Who can I talk to? Being walked in on while you're in the barracks, trying to take a shower or whatever you're doing is startling. It's frightening. You know, at this particular point, you don't know what to expect. Why is he here? What does he want? But at that particular time, it was always just conversation, not really comfortable conversation. And then after that, the little touchy-feely stuff started. Being away from home for the first time, how do you handle situations like that? This person is my superior, and I know that I'm supposed to do what's required of me according to what my job title is, but this is not my job title. So what do we do? Where do we go? I started off working as air traffic control, and I worked at an airfield, a small airfield that was 30 miles from post. So once they decided that I would be of more help to them in a clerical standpoint, what they did was they made me clerical. So I did SOPs, type correspondence from the captain to other people, company commanders. I was responsible for all of the correspondence, filing, everything that needed to be done. That was my job.
So let's take a break from the work at Fort Gordon and let's talk about like your social life at Fort Gordon. So how did you and your boyfriend meet, and what made you guys fall in love? Like how was he as a person? What got you?
Well, I thought he was honest with me. We actually met at, call it the commissary or the base exchange. And he worked completely across the post from me. I fell in love with him because he acted like he cared about me. He was fun to be around. He always made me laugh. He always made me feel like I was special. That I like most about him is that we could talk. We had conversations. Sometimes we would have to agree to disagree, but the conversations was what got me with him.
And what kind of person was he? Was he kind of quiet? He was a life of the party kind of guy, was he? And did he do any special little things for you that you can remember?
He was a quiet person, quiet but stern. Towards the end, I had begun to see explosive anger. But there's always reason why people exhibit different behaviors. So that was one thing that we didn't get into. He made me feel special because he listened to me.
And how did you reach the decision that you guys were gonna move in together? How long into the relationship, or what made you feel comfortable? Like, I'm gonna make this step to move on, basically.
We decided to move in together to get me out of the situation that I was in with my superior. Having to be summoned to the orderly room on a daily basis, the knocks on my barracks door at any given time. I thought that would be the answer to being put in those types of situations.
So both love and wanting freedom from your superior outside of work.
Yes.
What sort of things started happening once you moved off base and you got comfortable in your apartment? Like, what sort of things started happening, and like how soon did they start happening?
Things started happening right away. Once, because you have to have permission to live off post. So once that paperwork was put in, there was immediately a halt. I don't think we stayed together but maybe 2 nights in the new apartment because I was ordered to move back into the barracks immediately.
And how did you feel? Like, describe your frustration with that. You just got situated in your new place with your love, and then this happened.
I didn't know how to feel because I'm not understanding why. Of all the people, that this person could have chosen, why me?
So after you moved back, what was that process like? So you get settled and then you have to move back. Take us through that. Like, what did you have to do? Just get back to work, or just move your stuff immediately? Did your boyfriend help you back?
Basically, the only thing that I had at that particular point was music. Had a turntable, speakers, clothes. So no, he was not allowed to help me move. I had to get help the best way that I could to move myself back into the barracks.
Okay. And so what type of restrictions were put in place once you were back?
Once I was back, the restrictions that were put in place was we weren't allowed to see each other. I found out later that my boyfriend was called to his orderly room and told that he was forbidden to have any contact with me at all. He was told that he couldn't see me anymore because I guess he felt threatened. I can't tell you how he felt, but I do know that after he was told that he couldn't see me anymore, that's when I told him about the incident that happened. So the incident had been happening all the while. I didn't know what to do. What do you do? When I did mention it to my other superior, his answer to me was, this person has good taste, and laughed and walked away from me. So I wasn't told what I could do if I wasn't satisfied with the response that I got. I wasn't told anything. That was something that I was always afraid to say. You know what I'm saying?
So the airfield, it was 30 miles from post, and you worked like 12 hours or overnight shifts?
Yes, 24 hours on, 48 hours off.
And that wasn't the first incident.
Just, little stuff in his office. There was never any sexual contact, other than grabbing and, but the airfield is where the incident happened.
Do you feel comfortable going into detail about that particular night? Are you prepared or ready to kind of take us through your day, that incident?
I don't think I'm sorry.
No.
The airfield was scary because all you could see was nothing but the shack and the runway where the planes landed and trees. And that's where the incident actually happened. being blindsided, you know. I was afraid, and I'm thinking to myself, do I fight this person? You know, if I fight this person, am I going to get hurt? At one particular point, I just decided to give in, because at that particular time, I probably wore about 140 pounds. I'm 5'8", 140 pounds. This person is 6'4", probably 280, if not more than that. So how do you fight? This person leaves, and I just have to pretend that nothing happened. I have to pretend that nothing happened. I have to spend the rest of my evening trying to get myself cleaned up, trying to get ready for the next person to relieve me of my shift, and act like nothing happened.
So after this incident happened and you get off work, who did you talk to first? And what did they say? How did you end up telling your boyfriend?
I told him right after it happened. I think I didn't see him or talk to him probably for a couple of days, and then I told him what had happened. But I told him about it because I felt like that he would be the one to have some empathy for me. You know, I had no idea that things would happen the way that it did. But after I told him, it was no way to fix it. If that makes sense.
Were you in person with your boyfriend when you told him, or?
No.
Tell me how you delivered the news.
I called over to his barracks and asked to speak to him, and he just happened to be there. I don't even remember him saying anything. You know, he just took the information in. And that's what's so scary about the consequences that happen. You know, because people say all the time, we have to watch. So, and for a long time, I felt like that what happened in the interim was my fault. When I went to formation that next morning, I knew that something was wrong because everybody was looking at me like I had done something. And then I started hearing the comments where she should have been the one that got killed. My company commander, because I had started crying, my company commander told us what happened, and I remember dropping to my knees. Once I got up, he got in my face, nose to nose, and said, "If you had kept your big effing mouth shut, Top would still be living. It's your fault he did."
What did he say exactly happened? Can you tell us that? What did he say information happened?
He said that First Sergeant had been killed. did not say to me who was supposed to have been the perpetrator, but everybody knew. Everybody knew. I found out that my boyfriend was accused of murdering the first sergeant.
Tell us exactly, like when they wanted you to go on trial, how did you accept that?
What he wanted me to do was to testify that I knew that my boyfriend was the one who committed the murder. And what he was gonna do was to promote me to E5 and send me to Fort Houston for the rest of my term, which probably turned out to be about 7 or 8 months. He said that I could be home with my family because I know you want to be with your family. I know you miss your family. So, no, of course I did not do that. I told him I could not do that because I did not know. Whatever happened, happened, and me not to tell anybody anything. That way it would have stayed hidden. I was in awe. I don't think I was angry. I was in disbelief. You know, because you are my superior. You are my company commander. So how can you even present a question or an idea like that to me when you're supposed to be an example? Didn't know anything about the funeral, didn't know anything about anything, because at that particular time, I went AWOL. It was a combination of things. First was a suicide attempt. Then there was AWOL, because I went AWOL 3 times. I never stayed any longer than 1 or 2 days at a time, trying, because I kept telling myself I have to go back. I have to make things right. And each time I went back, things were worse. I was bullied. I was ostracized. I was not allowed to go to work. I was put on the parade field in the hottest part of the day and made to field strip cigarettes from one end of the parade field to the next. I was put on duty in the orderly room, cleaning bathrooms. Anything that they felt like that they could do to make me feel like nothing is what they did.
So how did you end up on the psych ward? Was that after the suicide attempt?
Yes. I had spoken to my captain, and he basically told me that I was a pathological liar and that it wasn't anything wrong with me. But after I could not be consoled, he put me on the van and took me to the behavioral center over at the hospital. And that's where he put me for 1 week. I was admitted to the behavioral center because I had suicidal ideations. At that particular time in my life, I can honestly say that had I gotten a chance to actually do something to myself, I would have done it. No questions asked. Have to walk around with a paper gown on. I don't have on no underwear. I don't have on no bra. I got on paper slides on my feet. My hair's all over the place. Every time I get ready to go to the bathroom, there's someone there watching me. There's someone there watching me urinate. There's nothing in the bathroom it's like everything is metal, you know. The mirrors are metal, you know. You can't even see yourself in them. So, yeah, I think that's the most degrading time that I have ever had in my life.
And what kinds of things did your either company command or captain say to your counselor that affected your stay at the center? Talk about the adjustment disorder diagnosis.
Yes, I was given a diagnosis of adjustment disorder without really saying that I had post-traumatic stress disorder, because adjustment disorder is a mental health diagnosis also. So they gave me the diagnosis and they did not prescribe any type of medication. My company commander would come over every day and talk to my therapist about me, saying that I was a pathological liar. They couldn't believe anything I said. He couldn't believe anything I said, but he was the one that put me on a behavior center.
So after you get out of the behavioral center, you went AWOL or you went back?
No, I went AWOL. That was the second time. One day that time, because where I was, I ended up at his sister's house, and I didn't feel safe there. You know, I got up one morning to go to the bathroom, and there was a rat in the bathroom the size of a cat. So I sat up the rest of the night, and then that next morning I caught the bus back to the base.
And when you returned back to the base after going AWOL, what was that like? The type of work assignments you got?
After I got back from being AWOL this time, I was given the job of parading the parade field stripping cigarettes in the hottest part of the day. I was given jobs like cleaning the bathrooms in the orderly room. Anything to keep me busy is what they did.
So not your original job, but other lesser type job. So when you went AWOL the third and final time, you ended up at a witch doctor's house for 4 months. You were recommended this lady by your boyfriend's sister. Can you talk about those 4 months?
I was recommended to this lady who would help people. I was given the address and I was given money to catch the bus to get to her house, not knowing that she was I guess they call them soothsayers. My job that she gave me was making up goodie bags for people who came and needed help. She did card readings and she made up little goodie bags for women to put in their bra, which was supposed to be protection for them. My mom and my dad came to see me the first time they came to see me. My dad couldn't sleep because my dad was a preacher. He couldn't sleep. He just kept tossing and turning, itching. So we began to look under the bed. There was boxes of graveyard dirt, boxes of rabbit's feet, rattlers from snakes, a certain type of grass that that they use, that soothsayers use, that's supposed to be protection. So my mom and dad left, and when they came back the last time, well, in the interim of all of this, the old lady that I was staying with, her grandson attempted to rape me. Even though he had a fiance and a brand new baby, but that didn't go well. That didn't go well at all. So I called my mom and my dad, and I told them, I said, y'all gotta come get me. They came. My mom was like, we did end up staying the night, to keep from having to drive all night. We spent the night there, got up the next morning and left. And my mom was like, don't bring anything with you. Leave it here. So when I left Georgia, I left with nothing but the clothes I had on my back.
So when you finally get back home from the witch doctor, how was your life and career from that point on? You got to see your kids again. Like, what was that like? You had left.
When I got home, I was glad to be home. I felt like I was safe. But there were things going on that I did not understand. I was a completely different person. I couldn't explain why, because I didn't know. I remember going through this one particular time that really, really resonates with me is, I think I was in bed for a whole week. My mom would check on me, try to give me something to eat, try to give me something to drink. I remember not having the strength to take a bath. My mom would bathe me. And this one particular day, they could not wake me up. And my mom called my dad and she was like, Peter, you gotta help her. They was doing like the chest rubs and stuff, trying to get me to wake up. And I remember my dad just praying for me. And he grabbed me and he held me in his arms and he just rocked me back and forth. And he was like, come on back, come on back, come on back. And I remember waking up. And the day after that, I was able to function a little bit. Not much, but a little bit.
But apparently your dad did enough, because eventually you got employment on police Riverside.
Yes.
And then you want to talk about once you got jolted back by your dad, literally. You ended up going to work. Talk about your career a little bit.
Yes. I worked at Riverside Hospital probably 5 years. And I was a monitor tech / secretary. I worked on medical floor, surgical floor, ICU, CCU, and I ended up finding a better job at Mary Immaculate Hospital, where I worked for 12 years. It was, better pay, better hours.
Better hours for your kids? Like, were they happy to have you back because they had to use
Yes. Better hours because I got a chance to spend more time with them. I got a chance to make sure I was available, to make sure that they got breakfast in the morning, to make sure that they were in school when they were supposed to be.
So what happened in 93 after you had gone for the Army at that point? 12? How was the out process situation at Fort Knox, or how did they find you first and then take you back? You at work?
They found me at my apartment, and I happened to be getting ready to go to church that morning. And the police knocked on the door. They asked my name, and they had me to, they didn't make me put my hands behind my back. They allowed me to be handcuffed from the front just to try to show me some dignity in the neighborhood. And I went to Newport News City Jail where I spent the night. The next morning, I was transferred to Fort Eustis Jail, where I had a guard by my door because they had some type of malfunction and the cell would lock. So I was there and the cell was just open. So of course they had to have somebody, to make sure I didn't try to escape. And then the morning after that, they flew me to Fort Knox, Kentucky to out process from the Army because they said you can't just leave the Army, you have to out process. So it took 3 days to out process, and they put me on a plane and sent me back home.
You got those out process paperwork. There was something on that paper that didn't really make sense. Do you remember? You want to talk about that? Like something you didn't agree with?
Yeah. The out processing paperwork said that I refused counsel. And nobody asked me if I wanted counsel because there were so many of us that were out processing. What they did was they had everybody's paperwork ready for them. So when they call your name, you just picked up your paperwork and you went back to your seat.
So talk about your dishonorable discharge and then the process that you went through to get it upgraded. You said once the colonel did your paperwork, you were granted full clemency.
Full clemency and full relief. Which means that I always had an honorable discharge. Full clemency, full relief. They don't look at anything but, or they shouldn't look at anything but the discharge status itself.
So after the trial for your boyfriend,
my advice to anyone getting ready to or thinking about going into the military, remember that the military is designed to break you. No matter what kind of way they're going to break you. What I would say is pick a battle buddy. Pick somebody that you know you can talk to. Pick somebody that you know you can trust. Somebody that's going to be there for you should you need them. Because it's harder for predators to pick out a person when there's more than one person involved.